Do you ever feel torn apart when the loved ones around you are in conflict? Or perhaps you've had clients who've described this. Well, you'll definitely want to pay attention to this episode. It's the final part of my 3-part series looking at the challenges, psychology, and impact of conflict issues. We're exploring the 3 kinds of conflict that, from working with my clients and in groups, I've found to be the number one cause of feeling blocked, stuck, and confused. In these episodes, I want to give you some insight into each of the 3 kinds of conflict, in particular what may be happening internally that creates the difficulty. And I'll be offering some pointers to show you the path to more ease in navigating this inevitable aspect of life, because staying stuck and at a loss with conflict can become a subtle prison for your self-expression. So far, we've looked at inner conflict and conflict with others. The 3rd kind of conflict, and today's focus, is the sometimes excruciating pain of feeling helpless, in the middle, and sometimes even torn apart when those we love and care about are in conflict with each other. Also, I've got a live Zoom event coming up where I'll be showing you how you can use the simplest and most effective tool I know for resolving all 3 kinds of conflict. It's an Mpa framework that you can use with your clients if you have them. In fact, I pretty much use it with every single client I see, and it works like magic. And of course, it's an amazing way to help you with your own conflict issues. So make sure you stick around at the end so you can hear how you can attend the event and start navigating the conflict issues you meet like a pro. So, without further ado, let's dive into part 3, external conflict. Welcome to the Be a Brilliant Human podcast with me, Joel Young. If you're looking to improve your life, to heal, to grow, and mature as an individual, but maybe you found that some of the personal development and consciousness stuff has given you the impression that you need to be super serious and vigilant to get anywhere meaningful, or feeling like maybe you're just not up to snuff. Well, this show is here to remind you of your humanity, and in fact that's where your true joy and brilliance lies. With over 25 years of experience in the transformation biz and having developed MPA, one of the world's simplest, pressure-free approaches to growth and well-being, if I do say so myself, I'll be sharing tips, steps, and insights that'll help you navigate all the aspects of life as a growth-seeking being. On this show, it comes to you with a good dose of humour, maybe a smattering of colourful language, a reminder not to take things so personally, and most importantly, to be kind to yourself along the way. Make sure you hit that follow button, and let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to the Be a Brilliant Human podcast with me, Joel Young. I'm delighted that you're here. We are at episode number 117, which means, firstly, you can go see the show notes if you go to www.beabrillianthuman.com/117. It also means there's 116 previous episodes to binge listen to. And if you're doing that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Do me a solid. Now, as I said in the intro, this is part 3 of a 3-part series, so it's well worth, if you haven't already, going back and listening to episodes 115 and 116, where we cover internal conflict and conflict with others. In fact, I really hope you're enjoying this series and finding it useful. I'd love you to let me know how you're finding it. And also, if you're enjoying this kind of series thing, it's, from my perspective, it's a chance to go a bit deeper on topics, to do kind of cover a topic over a series of different podcasts. So do get in touch. You can even suggest topics you'd like me to cover in depth in this way. You can get in touch by all the usual methods. You can go to the beabrillianthuman.com website and leave me a voice message. There's a big button, you can't miss it, on there, or via the usual social media platforms. You can find me usually at Joel Young MPA on places like Twitter and Instagram. And if you're on the Facebook, then you can go to, just search NPA Rocks, and you'll find me there. There'll always be a post for every single episode, and you can leave a comment on there, or just send me a message. You know how to do that, don't you? Yes. So now, remember that there's also one thing I want to direct you to, is there's a previous podcast that gives you kind of a good dose of the background non-personal relational theory. That's episode 74. I'll include that and the previous 2 episodes in the show notes. Plus, episode 74, which is Busting the Myth of Unity, is actually a video of a live event that I did some time ago. So if you want to see it on YouTube, I mean, you can listen to just the audio on the usual podcast way, but if you want to go and visit on YouTube, you can find it there. If you go to my YouTube channel, just go to youtube.com/Joel Young, and you'll find the YouTube channel. And there's a playlist there for the Be a Brilliant Human podcast. All these episodes go up on YouTube. Some of them, like the interviews, do have actual video. Otherwise, they've got a nice picture of me and one of those waveforms. But I know quite a few people actually do listen on YouTube. That's their preferred method of choice. So today, well, I'm going to do what I've done before, which is we're going to get into the meat of the topic. But first, I'm going to cover a little bit more about the nature of conflict, in particular, how it links to drama in good ways and bad. Then we'll get into that nitty gritty of the issues of difficulties when others are in conflict. And at the end, I'll give you a heads up. I'll give you all the event details if you're interested. And, you know, if you've been listening to these two and you've gone, where is that link? I'll tell you straight up right now. You just need to go to www.thenpaacademy.com/harmony and you'll find the details there. And remember, spoiler alert, put in the code HARMONY and you'll get 85% off if you hurry, if you listen to this week. Now, I will say that if you're listening to this in the future, hello, future person, that probably won't be sat there. But if there is a discount at the time I'm running, if I run the event again, then there'll be information on the page. But if you want that now, then make sure you hurry because it runs out in just a few days. But as I say, I'll let you know before I sort of tell you all about the event, and I hope that's fair enough, because you might be, well, I'm not going to go to that event. I hope not. I think you'd I was going to say, I think you'd be foolish. That doesn't sound good, does it? No, I'd love you to come. I think it's going to be an amazing event with a very powerful tool. But I'll give you a heads up. So if that's not for you, you can go, okay, this is not for me. I can hop off now. Is that fair enough? Cool. All right. Let's get into today's episode, starting with how conflict is at the core of drama. At first, you might think, what's this got to do with external conflict? But bear with me, there is method in my madness. So in part one, I was talking about, good and bad conflict. There's both kinds of conflict. Some perspectives will say that all conflict is bad. We just need peace. That's it entirely. No conflict. But it's worth understanding, as well as there being good and bad conflict, that there is a link between conflict and drama. Now, drama, like some perspectives on conflict, drama in particular has a bad rap in the personal development field. But usually I've found that that's born from kind of a one-dimensional, idealized and agendered view of enlightenment, right? But there's no drama without conflict. And drama, if you think about it in its pure form, drama is the juice of life. Hence, I talk about good conflict. Usually lifts us with kind of positive drama, if you like. Let me give you an example. So imagine the most beautiful sunset viewed across an expanse of wildflower peppered meadows as the sun sets behind dark and jagged-toothed mountains. I mean, nature is full of drama because at its essence, drama is contrasts, differences. Some are subtle, some are stark. And the sight of that sunset or that vista alone, these are the things that can move the soul. That's the juice. That's the eros in life. So not all drama is bad. I'll give you another example the other way around. So I want you to imagine, the modern day upstairs, downstairs, Downton Abbey. Don't know if you've seen it. Period drama. But I want you to imagine Downton Abbey, but everything's cool. Right? They all get along, they all agree, basically nothing challenging to anybody ever really happens. Now, if that was the case, I doubt it would have been as entertaining or as popular as it was. It'd be kind of dull as dishwasher, right? Dishwasher? Dishwater. That's the phrase. Not as dull as a dishwasher, dull as dishwater. In fact, if you think about it, any kind of fiction writing, one of the core questions that script writers and authors, kind of ask is what are the key conflicts? These conflicts are essential to create the drama, the juice, the entertainment. For that, you're going to need secrets, misunderstandings, agendas, threats, risk, and attachments, right? You need all those things to create a good drama. And of course, that's fantastic for theatre and novels and films, high drama. It's the bomb, right? Now, I might get on my soapbox here because this also brings me to, it's like we have a very high sugar diet right now in the West, that's for sure. And in the same way with drama, it's become rather steroid injected these days. So think about programs like The X Factor, that cliched pregnant pause designed entirely to create drama, right? Because it kind of kicks off these chemicals in us. Or all these so-called fly-on-the-wall documentaries, and the reality TV programs. I know because I've heard from an insider that in spite of them kind of saying we're fly on the wall, the producers inject false scenarios and setups to create high drama because, that's what the ratings need, that high drama in situations. I mean, the worst of this, in my opinion, I'm really getting on my soapbox now, is the level of hyped up drama that you'll find in the news these days. Now, supposedly the news is a straight factual report, right? But again, the drama gets the ratings, and to hell with keeping it real or accurate or agenda free for that matter. Anyway, I'm well into the opinion level here, but that's my experience with the news. I don't watch the news when I see it. I think, God, it's so drama filled. And here's the thing, to me, and what's the point of all this is, how does this relate to conflict in our lives? Well, it comes back to understanding that conflict isn't intrinsically a bad thing. And here's the real point. There's more nuance to it than that. So whatever conflict shows up in your life or in the life of your loved ones, you'd be doing everyone a great service if you could discern the difference between life-giving conflict, like the vistas in nature, and the drama that is life-sapping stuff. So rather than just writing off drama as someone's got ego issues, I've seen that, it's that discernment. In fact, at the core of the non-personal philosophy is the practice of committing to having sort of no agenda in the healing and therapeutic space. That's where I often say that, while those who go through MPA mastery to become MPA practitioners, they get a ton of MPA tools and skills, which are super cool, but what they're really learning, and the thing that takes them from being a good facilitator to a superstar one, is the agendaless way. It's kind of baked into all the MPA processes and the frames, including the integration frame, which you'll learn at the harmony equation. And the fascinating thing about this is I found that the agendaless way has an amazing side effect, which is to give you that sort of high level of nuanced discernment, exactly what you'll need to effortlessly walk that perfect line with conflict and drama, both with your clients and in your own life. And all this keys into the main topic of the day, which is external conflict, because the non-personal perspectives, all the different ones that are available to you, that they're a lifesaver if you find yourself torn up by other people's conflict. So let's get into that. So what do I mean by external conflict? Well, really, we're focusing here on where you have conflict issues, so issues with that kind of conflict. In other words, there's a discomfort around, when the conflict isn't necessarily within you or you with another. It's like two other people two or more people that are not you in conflict, and that's really tough for you. That's what we're talking about here. It's like, even though it's not you, it creates conflict and high stress in you. So the classic would be if your kids are fighting and that sort of tears you apart, or your friends are in conflict and not getting on, that tears you apart. I'm using that. That's been my experience. It like tears me apart in the past where I really had this strongly. Or your parents. Most of us, I think, as kids in some form had a hard time when our parents were in conflict. I don't know a child who was like, yeah, cool, let them get on with it. Maybe you're the exception. I hope so. That's a dream, isn't it? To just grow up, your parents are fighting, you're like, I'm cool. But this as sort of going forward into life, this will mainly show up for people who are highly conflict averse. So if this is something you're starting to recognize and go, oh God, I hate that when my friends are fighting. It's just awful. So if you feel this, that's going to tell you something about yourself, By the way, it's not necessarily just 2 other people or 3 other people. It can also work, just as I talked about in part 2 with conflict with others. It can work, if there's organizations or philosophies that clash and you're identified with those organizations or philosophies in some way. The same sort of symptoms can present themselves if this is an issue for you. So what happens internally, when there's an issue? What's the cost of that? Well, let me give you a story from my own experience. As I just said, it's like this is an issue. I grew up basically highly conflict averse. Most of my young adult life and teenage years, for sure, I was terrified of conflict in all its forms. So I do understand this territory. Now I'm fine. It's still always going to be a comfort zone. It's not the most pleasurable thing. But actually, that's not entirely true. There are times now I'll enjoy a good discussion, which would have terrified the pants off me, and I would have hidden myself away in the past. Now I'm up for a good debate, and we'll get into why that is and what the path out is. But this story, it's absolutely classic, and maybe you've had a similar experience yourself. So when I would have been, I guess, early 20s, and my girlfriend at the time, and I may have been married. I got married to her in the end. Not married to her anymore. But anyway, we were living together, and we had a friend come round, visit, who was John, or I think he visited him. Anyway, point is, we went on a walk. Now, that seems straightforward. Me, my beloved, good friend of mine on a walk. Now, here's the thing. Both of them are very strong characters, opinionated, and know what they want. And there was this discussion, which felt like an argument and a conflict to me, where she wanted to walk faster, he wanted to walk slower. And what happened was she just walked off ahead, and then he slowed down behind. Now, inside, the feeling was like, it was like I had, at first on the surface of it, I guess it felt like split loyalties. Where should I put myself? That was really what was going on in my mind. It was like, should I walk ahead, and stay with my beloved, or then the friend that we're visiting? Should I hang back with him? And literally, I got all balled up inside. It was literally like a physical thing, like literally felt physically being torn apart. And that's definitely one of the signs, like I was kind of dying inside. So what I actually did, which is sort of on one hand sad, tragic, other one kind of hilarious looking back now, but I feel for my younger self, because this was all he knew how to do. I basically walked literally energetically in the middle, halfway between the two of them, and tried to keep myself at that middle distance. It was like the embodiment of my pain. And but that was the degree of pain that was felt by me being affected by the conflict of these others. Like I said, it's not about you, but it affects you. So, literally what I was doing was taking it personally. Their conflict was like taking it personally. And taking it personally, another way of saying that is, that's me, that is. This conflict is me. So I just embodied it, literally, which caused me to do what I did. And this is usually the result of creating self-identities that are based on who you are with others, who I was with my first wife, who I was with my friend, and then the whole split happens. And it also can come from a sense of well-being being based on others' well-being. The classic book, I'm okay, you're okay, but basically the equation is, if I'm okay, or if you're okay, then I'm okay. But these are really ways to avoid self-responsibility for these things, self-responsibility for your own identity and or your well-being. Of course, we don't really always get that, because that's kind of very humbling to the ego, and we tend to defend and deny and sort of delete these awarenesses from ourselves. But I'm sure you're a very aware person, and you're open to hearing that. But it is an avoidance of self-responsibility, and it's a very fragile setup. It's very disempowered. It's reliant on those others. It's a place that a lot of codependency can come from, and it's very unstable. And at its core, it's really a lack of self-identity, which ironically, this kind of comes from a fear of conflict, of asserting, who you are initially, which is a vicious circle, right? It's like usually in childhood, it was perceived that showing up as you was a bad idea. I used to call it being the invisible boy, because not being visible would make a bad, not being invisible or showing up would make a bad situation worse, like adding insult to injury. And it's common for those whose parents were in conflict a lot. And I'm not just talking about big fights. I'm talking about often it's those undercurrents of passive agitation that can have the same effect. So in that situation with me, walking halfway between the two, was that total embodiment, because it was literally like a pain inside of me. Now, it's amazing to me how impactful it can be, to resolve that core perceived conflict, going back to your parents, but between your parents. I think most of us, as I said, kids don't rarely grow up going, oh yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, there are ones that do, but resolving that perceived conflict between your parents, and finding the hidden harmony, it's like that the perfect balanced energy that works for you. When I've done that with people, they've had huge openings, and it's also, that's something that we do in the harmony equation. I call it the Parental Frame. It's a version of the Integration Frame, which is the tool you'll be learning at the harmony equation. But again, because a lot of the kind of personality foundations can be based on this experience, this childhood experience, which causes you to be A, conflict averse, and B, challenged by other people's conflict, and this whole split, who the hell am I anyway kind of stuff. In fact, there's a particular personality type that feels this acutely. That'll be my personality type, until it's been worked on. And also, that particular personality type happened to be the type that make up the largest group that ends up doing self-help. Interesting. Who am I? Looking for who I am, right? It makes sense. And likely, if you have them, then a decent portion of your clients will be made up of this personality type. So it's something that's really important to understand, especially if you do change work with people. And also that means that, a lot of facilitators also come from this personality type pool. You end up going to self-help to help yourself. You end up helping others, right? So there's a large number of people that have this core personality type that end up doing this work. It's part of what makes them good at what they do, right? Because they have that ability to be sort of chameleon-like, or flexibility, or they can step into other people's worlds very easily. But also those conflict issues can, if you've got that and you do work with people, having those conflict issues can really block your ability to help them, as well as that you can. I don't know if you've noticed, but that, issues and challenges with clients that raise conflict with you, or are confronting, is a big deal. I'm really, in fact, I'll be talking about this more going forward, but I'm absolutely on a mission to bring coaches, healers, change makers, therapists, and anyone who does change work with clients up to their next level. So this is resonating. Make sure you listen to the end, because you'll absolutely want to be getting your ass along to the harmony equation event. So let's think about, what are some perspectives that can help? Never mind that, obviously, I'm going to tell you, go to the event, because the tool you will learn is freaking phenomenal. But let's just think about what perspectives can help you. Well, one obvious one is to stop taking it personally when you experience external conflict. Now, one of my big things with MPA, non-personal awareness, how to stop taking things personally, which is the best way to do it, is that it's easy to say stop taking it personally, but you need to understand if you're going to do it in the kind of mental way, you need to understand the identity piece. So to sort of contemplate on disidentifying from the external conflict. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you don't love. That's often the confusion that I see. Of course, straight MPA, you can go and download the process. If you're fairly new here, you might be wondering what I'm talking about. It's a simple 6-line spoken word process. That's what I do. I create simple ways to do really powerful things in terms of personal development, and certainly tools that coaches and therapists can use. That's kind of, I just make things simple. I can't help it. Maybe I'm just lazy. Is there an easier way? Okay, let's do it that way. But MPA is the simplest way to stop taking things personally. So you can use straight MPA, it's one way. And of course, the integration frame, which is what I call an MPA frame, which we're doing at the Harmony Equation, is a kind of bespoke, very clearly designed way to apply MPA that is perfect for all three kinds of conflict. But that disidentification, if you're going to use contemplation as a method, be aware that often the story your mind will tell yourself is that if you don't make it about you, somehow that makes you uncaring or not loving, or there's those stories that will come up. But that kind of is the key to resolving this kind of conflict. Maybe it could help if you think in terms of bodies of energy. Again, all of the non-personal perspectives think in terms of energy bodies. So if you think about it in terms of energy bodies, then you can begin to instantly depersonalize things, because you can think in terms of like clouds in the skies. They clash all the time. Waves, in the ocean, they clash all the time. You don't have an issue with that. But you're making it much more personal because it's those people that you love, and there are stories that are going to come up. And also, coming back to drama, consider the nuances of drama. So one of the funny things about the example that I gave you, so in my example, Fiona and John were absolutely fine with that conflict. And some personality types, they really are. It was only my issues, right? So that's another thing to consider. If you've got an issue with, with two people, being in conflict, they might be loving it. Always worth considering that one. I had no idea. I just thought it was awful. It was the worst thing in the world. They were like, what's your problem? We were fine. I went faster, you went slower. What's your problem? We had a disagreement. It's over. We just decided to do what we were going to do. Let's be in the middle. My heart aches. There we go. So let me give you some baby steps that you can do, some little things that you can do right now before we get into the Harmony Equation, which I highly recommend you come to. First off, make sure you've downloaded the MPA sheet. You just need to go to joelyoungmpa.com, or you can go to the mpaacademy.com. You'll find it all over the place. Go to beabrutehuman.com. There will be somewhere. Get the MPA process for free. Give me your email. I'll send it straight to you, and just work with that to start taking this external conflict, or really, less personally. That's going to really be a help to you. Also, use some contemplation. Contemplate who you actually are, your individual identity. If you're one of these personality types that has this sort of I'm not sure who I am kind of issue, then that contemplation on your own individual identity distinct from others is really useful work for you to do. You can use inquiry, in journaling, maybe journal about what perspectives could help you feel okay when others are not. And again, by the way, on that score, you not being okay doesn't help them. Have you ever realized that when you're not okay and you're stressed, you're way less resourceful? That's why I'm saying it doesn't mean you don't care if you're not all balled up by their conflict. It actually means you're way more resourceful to be useful, to be discerning, which again, coming back to that discernment, when you're in your kind of your strength, your individuality, your flow, you can be really discerning about whether that's a fine thing, whether there's actually anything for you to do, whether you can be supportive and helpful, because sometimes, you can't. But it's very difficult to have that nuanced discernment when you're in a stressed state. In fact, what's more likely to happen is the downside of drama, which is you'll get all riled up in it. It becomes like, EastEnders. everyone's in everybody else's business and just hamming up the drama, adding more secrets and agendas and, misunderstandings into the equation. Oh, the delicious yuckiness of it all. Rather to have that nuanced sense of, this is a different kind of experience where I can be useful because I'm resourceful. So any kind of contemplation where you can think, what would help me feel okay when others are not? That's a really good question to ask yourself. And well, what's the easiest cure for this? Well, the harmony equation, where you'll learn the integration frame, is super quick, super powerful. And in conjunction with MPA, it's the best way I know, as I said, to really navigate through the tricky territory of conflict, all three kinds, in a way that that gives you your rudder to get through. So if you're interested in coming along to the event, which is happening very soon, then stay tuned and I will tell you all about how you can get your ticket. So thanks for staying with me. That means you're interested, you're curious perhaps about the Harmony Equation event. Now, I'd love you to come. If your heart is saying, I think this might be for me, if you've resonated with anything that I've said over these last 3 episodes, and there's a conflict issue somewhere in your life, and absolutely if you have clients and this is a tool that you think you can use, because really at the core of so much of the block stuckness, the comfort zone, so many things within the therapeutic transformational journey, at its heart, the key thing to so much of the block stuff is conflict, right? And, I've called the event the Harmony Equation. The tool, the specific tool, the frame you'll be learning is the Mpa Integration Frame. So, but most of the frames in MPA, there's about 38. If you come to mastery and if you want to become a practitioner fully, there's about 34 different frames, and they're all a bit like equations. It's like if you tap the right places psychologically in someone, what will pop out, I'm going to mix my metaphors here, 3 bells will come up at the bottom like a slot machine. And the way these frames work is that if you sort of have the correct setup, then the resolution comes and pops to the surface. So the harmony equation is that process you get prior to doing the MPA processes, which basically cleanse, clean, balance all of the energies that are involved, which is super powerful. So in a few hours, I'm going to be teaching you how you can use it with yourself. And absolutely one of the key things that I really want this to do is to put it in the hands of you if you're a change maker of some form. It is the swiftest, the most effective conflict resolution work I know of. I've tried several of the standard ones. You've probably heard of them if you've been around on the block for a while. This is off the charts in terms of its effectiveness, its quickness, and its ability to energetically speak directly to the client. Why? Because you're not implanting something over the top of them. You're literally eliciting what is that solution, what are the parts, what's the solution, in a way that they don't have to think. There's no analysis involved, which can get in the way, by the way. So it's a fantastic tool. And I say this on the sheet, it's so true. I mean, it really is such a magical tool. I use it with nearly every client. And by the way, this is going to be, I'm not just going to speak at you over it's about 3.5 hour event, 3.5, 4 hours. I'm not going to just be speaking at you. It's a hands-on thing. I've been giving you in this podcast and these series. If you want to go and get all the in-depth theory, there's places you can go and listen to that now. Episode 74 in particular, I'm thinking about. In fact, these 3 podcasts are really good theoretical basis talking about the general nature of conflict. The event is about practically getting it in your hands so you can use it really well with your clients. Or again, you don't have to be a practitioner to come along. You can use it in your own life, but that's going to be the focus. And the technique, as I said, we've been going through this series with 3 types of conflict. This technique will work for all 3 types of conflict. So whatever conflict your client comes with, you'll be able to help them quickly get to their energetic solution. I mean, literally over and over, I literally have clients go, oh my God, that's amazing. I've been wrestling with that for years. I feel so much relief. And often they've dug around in their belief systems, in their memories, in their emotional halls of pain, and yet within a few minutes, the clouds have cleared. I call that the shwomp effect. Like when the melting snow kind of slides off your car in that sort of frictionless, effortless way, great big lump. It doesn't go like drip, drip, drip. It's like a big lump suddenly decides, like plate tectonics, just go shwomp and just fall off the car. That's what it's like with and often those conflicts are the cornerstones or the blockstones, you could say, that are holding things in place, those limits, those comfort zones, all that kind of stuff. And it's very powerful in an energetic sense. So the ramifications going forward are truly powerful. And also I'm going to be sharing with you on the day how you can use what pops out of the harmony equation in a way beyond just doing the energetic work with MPA. There's a way you can use that in a sense as homework with your clients to give them a key that they will have for life and how to deal with situations, especially if they're live, which they often are with in relational conflict. What they get from going through the harmony equation is a key of focus that will help them navigate through, because it's not always cut and dry that they do the process and then suddenly all the conflict goes away. That's not what this is about. It's about finding the keys and the resources to help them go through. And you know what, sometimes, especially with external conflict, interestingly, I've had lots of examples where people have used this process with external conflict, and that external conflict kind of just goes away. That's the power of energy work. There you go. And also, as I mentioned today, I'll be showing you a version of the integration frame that's specifically designed to deal with that fundamental childhood conflict issue. That's the parental frame. It's a way of using the integration frame targeted specifically with the parents. Now, I've got clients with issues, or if you've got clients with issues that in any way seem to relate to their parents and their upbringing, hello. You'll not want to miss out on doing this frame, so you can help them nail that shift that they've been struggling with. So if you're interested, go along to the mpaacademy.com/harmony, www.thempa, that's November Papa Alpha, academy.com/harmony, and you can find the details on how to book there. At the time of this recording, it's coming up very soon, but if you're listening to this later, I'm considering sort of doing this event perhaps sort of maybe each year or whatever, so that there may be dates are forthcoming and all that good stuff. But go, if you're interested at all, just go to that link, have a look and see what's coming. And again, if you listen to this as the podcast comes out in February 2002, it's right upon us very, very soon. So get your ass there now. So let me give you some practical details about the event. So what I'm actually doing is I'm running it twice. Now, why are you running it twice? It's the same content, but I'm running it twice. The reason I'm running it twice is because the audience for this podcast and across all of my platforms is very worldwide. And so certain time zones may suit better things. So we're going to be, it's about 3.5, we run over a bit, 4 hours. So the basic times is February the 10th. We're going to do it in the morning. So that'd be 9 till 12:30. And then again on Sunday the 13th at 1 till 4:30 p.m. So again, weekends may suit you better. Weekdays may suit you better. You get to pick which one you come to. You know what? If you want to come to both, you need to let me know, but that's also available. That's your ticket will get you access to one or both events. It is the same content, so but nevertheless, you get to pick which one works best for you. You just need to go to www.thempaacademy.com/harmony. Now you'll see if you go there, this event I think is very reasonably priced. This tool is something you can use again and again. I don't know a tool like this that you can get for just £297. It's like has such a profound impact on your clients, and it's a tool that you can use again and again and again. But here's the thing. Again, if you're listening to this live and now as it comes out, early February 22, I have got an offer on there where you can get literally a full massive 85% off if you use the code HARMONY in the coupon code box when you get to checkout. That means you'll pay just £44.55. It's less than 50 quid. That is absolutely amazing for an amazing event. Plus I'll read out the rest of the bonuses and stuff you get as well. It's kind of a no-brainer. I want you there. Do it now. But that code will run out very, very soon. Again, if you're listening in the future, I guess I have to say this is a podcast, it's evergreen and all that stuff. There may be an offer on if I run it again. And it may be that I put it out as a product. We'll see. I'll let you know in the future. But for right now, take action now because you can get 85% off. It's an absolute steal at £44.55. And again, so yeah, 6th of February at midnight, if you're listening live, 2022, that 85% goes away. All right. So let me just walk you through the nuts and bolts of what you're going to get when you book. So first of all, the class combines teaching and practice. So, I mean, really, it's going to be heavy on the practice. You're going to be learning experientially. And also, of course, you'll be clearing issues as you go. You'll be doing the integration frame in different forms. All right. So, of course, you're going to get full instructions on how to use the Mpa Integration Frame. You get the hands-on experience. Plus, I'll be doing some sort of live coaching as we go so that, you know, you can feel really confident to use it with your clients. It'll help you, help your clients resolve years of internalized family conflict when we do the parental frame. You'll learn you'll use it on yourself, learn how to use it on others, which will give your clients access to a really fundamental piece of their healing. And of course, with the use of it, you'll discover how to resolve your clients' internal conflicts. They can move forward from indecision, from stuckness, from confusion. You'll discover how to resolve your client's conflict with others so they can regain empathy, safety, and connection without a compromise, as I talked about in the second part of this series. And also you discover how to resolve issues that arise from your clients when those around them are in conflicts. They can find inner peace, resourcefulness, and the freedom to be themselves, even when others aren't okay. And these tools will help you work through any of your unresolved conflict issues so you become freer in your practice and feel more confident and have more comfort when faced with challenging clients, because that's definitely a thing with coaches. If you're a coach and you've got these issues with conflict, if you find conflict difficult, that's going to be massively limiting how you can work. It means you're really not working at your potential with the clients you have. Plus, chances are it's going to impact your sense of abundance, your attraction of clients, all sorts of things. Don't get me started. So again, if that's something you can kind of admit to, if that's what you're experiencing, and go, I do recognize I have conflict issues, that's going to be showing up in your practice. Get your ass along. And of course, the ticket means you can attend the live event on February 10th and or February 13th. So you can choose a time that suits your calendar. Plus, of course, you'll get all the downloadable worksheets. I'll send them to you via email so you can have the notes to hand whenever you need them. Plus, as a bonus, you'll also get access to all the recordings via our online portal. So you can review the course at any time and, on any of your devices. Now, you might ask me, well, can I do it? I can't make the dates and then get the recordings. Yes, you can. I would strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to get along live if you can, because it is in the practical. But yes, it's possible if you want to do that. What I would ask is that if you're not going to make the events, also let me know. When you sign up, maybe a few days afterwards, I'll get this out to the people that are booked on soon. If you've booked on already and you're going, where's my email? It's coming. Because I want to find out who wants to come when, so I can organize things accordingly. But make sure in that email you let me know that you're not going to make it. But if you possibly can move mountains, I strongly recommend you are there in person at the event, because it's the practice with others that makes the big difference. So remember that conflict is really a key part of the stuckness, the blocks, and the suffering that people experience. And this event is going to give you a truly unique and powerful way to deal with that, and with your clients and with yourself. And it's an amazing tool to have. So come on, listen inside. If you got that yes, and I'm talking about like a triple yes, which means your mind says yes, your heart says yes, your body says yes, then what are you waiting for? Go to www.thempaacademy.com/harmony. Make sure you use that code harmony in the box if it's still there on the page saying it's live. And if you go there now, you will get that 85% off, which is a massive saving. This is such a great deal at $44.55. And more than that, I'm passionate about this. You can probably tell. I'd love you to be there. I think we're going to have an amazing time. And I know from my experience that if you've once you do this, it's going to have a massive impact on your life and how you work with other people. So again, go to www.thempaacademy.com/harmony and do it now. Thanks so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this show, I'd love you to do me a solid and tell someone about it. They can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and most other podcast platforms. Plus, if you visit the website, www.BABrilliantHuman.com, you can share the show notes to social media and make my day. Also, make sure you hit that follow button, and if you haven't yet downloaded the MPA process sheet, head on over to joelyoungmpa.com and get your free copy today. Big love, and see you next time.